With Toy Story 5 on the horizon, I thought what better time to talk about the whole franchise as a whole than right now. Couple disclaimers. One, spoilers ahead if you care. Two, I am unfortunately only going to be able to use screenshots of the movies because Disney does not play around about copyright and I don't want to deal with like loads of stuff. I just want to talk about these movies. So we're going to get right into it right now, starting with Toy Story from 1995.
By now, we all know that Toy Story is a 1995 American animated adventure comedy film directed by John Lasseter and the first entirely computer animated feature film with Tom Hanks and Tim Allen as Woody and Buzz, respectively. Before we move on, I've been trying to figure out where to stick this joke in, but something Black Friday real something. And if you got that joke, you're a Ryan J. Oldhead because it means you're around for this video.
Ryan, you be out here looking like Yandery Dev.
Moving on, Toy Story premiered at El Capitan Theatre in Los Angeles on November 19th, 1995, and was released theatrically in the United States on November 22nd. It set a record for the highest grossing opening weekend and eventually grossed over $363 million worldwide, making it the second highest grossing film of 1995. Let's move to the plot. In a world where toys are sentient but pretend to be lifeless around humans, a group of toys led by Sheriff Woody are preparing to move to a new house with their young owner, Andy Davis, and his family. You'll be keen to notice Andy's dad is not present, just like me, for real. During the party for Andy's 6th birthday, the toys, including Mr. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, Rex, Ham, and Bo Peep, become concerned that Andy might receive a new toy that will replace them. Andy receives a Buzz Lightyear action figure, and to be honest, if I'm one of those old toys, yeah, I'm thinking it's Raps if I see this guy. Anyway, Buzz believes he's an actual space ranger and does not know he is a toy. Buzz impresses the other toys with his electronic features and becomes Andy's new favorite toy, provoking Woody's jealousy. 2 days before the move, Andy's family plans to have dinner at Pizza Planet. To ensure Andy brings him along and not Buzz, Woody tries to knock Buzz behind a desk, but accidentally knocks him out the window. This kills Buzz. I'm joking, of course. Believing Woody murdered Buzz, the other toys mutinize against Woody to the point of threatening to hang him until Andy takes him into the car, and Buzz follows. Remember when kids' films weren't overly sanitized and you had the ability to make edgy jokes without much repercussion or effect on child audiences' perception of the film? Me too. When the car stops at a gas station, Buzz furiously confronts Woody. The two fight, fall out of the car, and are left behind, but then manage to hitch a ride to Pizza Planet on a delivery truck. At Pizza Planet, Buzz mistakes a claw game for a rocket and climbs in, pursued by Woody. Sid Phillips, Andy's sadistic next-door neighbor, grabs Woody and Buzz with the claw and takes them to his house, where they encounter his mutant toys, made from parts of toys he destroyed. Or at least that's what everyone used to say. These days, people seem to agree Sid was just a creative kid who would soon be traumatized. Buzz sees a television commercial promoting Buzz Lightyear toys and suffers an existential crisis, finally realizing he is a toy after all. He attempts to fly, but he falls and breaks his arm. This gives us the ever-iconic Mrs. Nesbit. After Sid's toys repair Buzz, Sid tapes Buzz to a firework rocket, planning to blow him up the following day. Overnight, Woody helps Buzz realize his purpose is to make Andy happy, which reinvigorates him. As Sid prepares to launch the rocket, Woody and the mutant toys come to life and frighten him. After Sid flees, Woody and Buzz pursue the moving truck. Sid's dog attacks Woody. While Buzz fights off the dog, Woody climbs into the truck and then pushes RC out to rescue Buzz. The other toys think Woody is harming RC and throw him out. Woody ignites the rocket strapped to Buzz, and Buzz opens his wings to sever the tape just before the rocket explodes. I mean, this is where I draw the line. This isn't believable one bit. That tape shouldn't have severed. Woody and Buzz should realistically be millions of charred pieces by now. Whatever, Woody and Buzz glide through the sunroof of the Davis' car, landing safely inside. At Christmas, in the new house, Andy receives a dog, which causes Woody and Buzz to nervously smile at each other. Right, so what happened after? The film received critical acclaim, with praise directed towards the animation, screenplay, Newman's score, and the fact that it appeals to all age groups. The voice performances, particularly Tom Hanks and Alan, were praised. It holds a 100% approval rating on the film aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes. Not that really matters. If you're even slightly into film, Rotten Tomatoes isn't very reliable. Despite that, the film is frequently lauded as one of the greatest animated films ever made, and due to its status as the first computer animated film, one of the most important films in the medium's history and in film at large. The film received 3 Academy nominations for Best Original Screenplay, the first film to be nominated for the award in the animated variety, Best Original Song for You've Got a Friend in Me, and Best Original Score, in addition to being honoured with a non-competitive Special Achievement Academy Award. In 2005, Toy Story was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The success of Toy Story launched a multimedia franchise with 4 sequels, beginning with Toy Story 2, which we're going to get onto soon. There's also a certain spin-off which I'll probably cover vaguely. I haven't decided yet. But what do I think? I think it's incredibly well and introduced me to a franchise I now hold dear to my heart. How could I not adore this, especially considering how well it's aged even today? Moving on to Toy Story 2, which is the 1999 sequel to Toy Story and the second installment in Pixar's Toy Story franchise. Obviously, the film was directed by John Lasseter, again, from a screenplay by Andrew Stanton, Rita Hassau, Doug Chamberlain, and Chris Webb. All the OG cast return with newcomers Joan Cusack, Kelsey Grammer, Wayne Knight, Estelle Harris, and Jodie Benson joining the cast. Disney initially envisioned Toy Story 2 as a direct-to-video sequel. The film began production in a building separated from Pixar on a small scale, as most of the main Pixar staff were busy working on A Bug's Life. When story reels proved promising, Disney upgraded the film to a theatrical release, but Pixar was unhappy with the film's quality. Lasseter and the story team redeveloped the entire plot in one weekend. Although most Pixar features take years to develop, the established release date could not be moved, and production schedule Toy Story 2 was compressed into 9 months. Despite production struggles, Toy Story 2 premiered at the same El Capitan Theatre on November 13, 1999, same as its predecessor, and was released on November 24th to box office success, grossing $511 million against a $90 million budget, making it the third highest grossing film of 1999. It received widespread acclaim from critics with a 100% rating on the website Rotten Tomatoes, just like the first movie. Let's move on to the plot. Woody and Buzz Lightyear have become co-leaders of Andy's room. Andy plans to take Woody to cowboy camp, but accidentally rips his arm. Andy's mother places Woody on a shelf, and Woody begins to fear that Andy will throw him away in one of the most traumatizing scenes ever put to screen. The following day, Woody finds Wheezy, a penguin toy with a broken squeaker, who was also shelved. After saving Wheezy from being sold at a yard sale, or as we'd call it, a boot sale, but that doesn't quite work for the plot, Woody is found and stolen by a greedy toy collector. Buzz fails to foil the theft, but finds clues identifying the collector as Al McWiggin, the owner of Al's Toy Barn. Buzz, Mr. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, Rex, and Ham set out to rescue Woody. Now, you may want to acknowledge that they've just copied the plot of the original and flipped it on its head, making it so it's Buzz rescuing Woody instead of the opposite way round, but I like that. Shows how close Woody and Buzz have become in between movies. At Al's apartment, Woody discovers he was designed as the protagonist of Woody's Roundup, a popular 1950s children's western series, and meets his co-star character Dolls, Jessie the Cowgirl, who is voiced by Joan Cusack of the Shameless fame. And trust me, that is a strange role to see her in, as someone who only knew her as Jessie my whole life. There's also Bullseye the Horse and Stinky Pete the Prospector. While delighted to meet them, Woody realizes that Al plans to sell the entire Woody's Roundup collection to a toy museum in Tokyo, and Woody announces that he has to return to Andy, dismaying the gang because the museum will not accept the collection without him, and they will go back into storage. After Woody's arm is repaired the next day, Woody learns that Jessie was once loved by an owner named Emily until she outgrew and abandoned her. Keep that in mind because it's looking like it's coming back in Toy Story 5. Anyway, convinced that Andy might do the same to him, Woody decides he should go to the museum. Meanwhile, Buzz's group reaches Al's Toy Barn and searches for Woody. Buzz encounters a utility belt toy of himself, assuming he's a real space ranger going AWOL. Utility Belt Buzz imprisons Andy's Buzz. Utility Belt Buzz later meets Andy's other toys, and assuming they are on a mission to defeat his arch nemesis, Emperor Zurg accompanies them to Al's apartment. Andy's Buzz escapes and follows the gang, inadvertently releasing a toy Zurg who follows Buzz to destroy him. Both Buzzes and the rest of the search party arrive at the apartment, but Woody refuses to go home with them. Shortly after the search party leaves, Woody reconsiders and invites the Woody's Roundup toys to join him and becomes Andy's toys. While a hesitant Jessie and an enthusiastic Bullseye accept Woody's offer, Pete refuses and blocks the others from leaving. Having never been played with, he is adamant about going to the museum. Returns to the apartment and takes Woody's Roundup collection to the airport. On the elevator ride down, Zurg appears and fights utility belt Buzz until he is knocked off the elevator by Rex. The two end up reconciling after Buzz learns Zurg is his father. Yes, an obvious Star Wars parody, but it actually kind of works here. Andy's Buzz and the other toys pursue Al to the airport in a Pizza Planet truck while being accompanied by 3 toy aliens from the first one. Kind of a less annoying version of the Minions at this point. Following a prolonged pursuit through the airport's baggage sorting system, during which Pete reopens the tear in Woody's arm, the other toys subdue Pete and place him in the backpack of a little girl, who takes Pete with her. They save Bullseye, but Jessie is loaded onto the plane. Woody, Buzz, and Bullseye work together to save her just as the plane takes off. The toys then return home to Andy's house. Andy returns from cowboy camp that night, plays with Jessie and Bullseye, and repairs Woody and Wheezy. The following morning, Al mourns the loss of a lucrative deal with the Toy Museum on television. Woody tells Buzz that he no longer fears Andy losing interest in him, promising to keep each other company for infinity and beyond. What happened after? Toy Story 2 received widespread acclaim from critics, with a 100% rating on the website Rotten Tomatoes, similar to its predecessor. It is considered by critics to be one of the few sequel films superior to the original, and is frequently featured on lists of the greatest animated films ever. Among its accolades, the film won Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy at the 57th Golden Globe Awards. And while I know a lot of people deem this one to be better than the first one, I don't know, I do flip-flop a lot, but that's not to discredit how good this really is. All the new characters hold up well, and they are fun, and the story is great, even if it's pretty basic. Nonetheless, I can agree, much like the first one, this is a masterpiece. Now let's move on to Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is a 2010 American animated adventure comedy drama film produced by Pixar for Walt Disney Pictures, as we all know by now. This one, however, was directed by Lee Unkrich instead of John Lasseter and was written by Michael Arndt. It's the third installment of the Toy Story film series and the sequel to Toy Story 2, and as expected by now, all the OG cast return. But before we get that version of the film that we know today, in 2004, following disagreements between the Walt Disney Company's CEO Michael Eisner and Pixar CEO Steve Jobs, Disney planned to make Toy Story 3 at the new Circle 7 animation studio unit, with the tentative theatrical release date of early 2008. The script was developed in multiple versions, however, after Disney bought Pixar in early 2006, the Circle 7 version of the film was cancelled as the result of the Circle 7's closure. But for funsies, here's a short plot recap of what we could have had. Buzz malfunctions and is sent to Japan to die in a recall, so the gang go to Japan to save him. Yes, really. I'm glad we didn't go that route. And hey, if you want, I could make a longer video covering that scrap version, but I don't think that's all too necessary. There's a million videos covering them. Toy Story 3 premiered at the Taormino Film Fest in Italy on June 12, 2010, and was released in the United States on June 18th. It was the first film to be released theatrically with Dolby Surround 7.1 sound. Now let's move on to the plot. Andy hasn't played with the toys in years and is leaving for college and intends to take Woody with him. Buzz Lightyear, Jessie and the others are put in a bag to be stored in the attic, but Andy's mother mistakenly takes the bag to the curb for garbage pickup. The toys escape and, believing Andy intended to throw them away, join Barbie in a donation box bound for Sunnyside Daycare. Woody pursues the others and fails to convince them of the truth. Now this has been pointed out already, but at this point in the series, you'd think these guys would believe Woody after 2 fucking movies of him proving he knows best. Andy's toys are welcomed by the other toys at Sunnyside and are given a tour of the seemingly perfect play setting by Lotso Hugging Bear, otherwise just known as Lotso, Big Baby, and Ken, who I cannot believe is voiced by Michael Keaton, aka Batman and Vulture. It's crazy. With whom Barbie falls in love. All the toys choose to stay except Woody, who attempts to return home. A Sunnyside child named Bonnie finds Woody and takes him to her house, playing with him and her other toys. After Andy's toys endure a rough playtime with the toddlers, Buzz asks Lotso to have himself and his friends move to the older children's room. But instead, he is captured, and Lotso is revealed to be running a police state among the daycare's toys. He tells Buzz he sends all new arrived toys to the toddler room for his gang's safety, regardless of whether the new toys are age appropriate or get broken. Seeing promise in Buzz, Lotso has him switch to demo mode, brainwashing him into believing Lotso is his commander. Meanwhile, Mrs. Potato Head, who has lost an eye in Andy's room, sees an unset Andy searching for his toys. Andy's toys realize their mistake and attempt to leave, but are captured and imprisoned by Buzz on Lotso's order. Wow. Guess we should have listened to Woody, guys, huh? At Bonnie's house, Woody meets a toy clown named Chuckles and learns that Chuckles, Lotso, and Big Baby were once owned by a girl named Daisy. When the three toys were accidentally lost during a road trip, they travelled back to Daisy's house on foot, only to find that Daisy's parents had replaced Lotso. After convincing Big Baby that Daisy had replaced them, Lotso led the toys to Sunnyside, taking it over as a dictator. Woody returns to Sunnyside and reunites with his friends. That night, Andy's toys initiate an escape plan, accidentally resetting Buzz to Spanish mode in the process. Spanish Buzz immediately befriends Woody and begins a relationship with Jessie. The toys escape the building, getting as far as the Sunnyside dumpster, but Lotso and his gang thwart them. As the trash truck approaches, Woody reveals Lotso's deception to Big Baby, who promptly throws Lotso into the dumpster. Andy's toys attempt to escape, but Lotso pulls Woody in with him. Andy's other toys jump in to help and fall into the truck, where a Junk's television hits Buzz and restores him to his normal persona. Don't ask, doesn't really make sense, and I'm actually going to get into all that at a later point in this video, so just hold that in your brain. The toys are brought to a local trash centre, and most of them are dumped on a conveyor belt leading to an incinerator. Woody and Buzz help Lotso avoid a shredder and later reach an emergency stop button, but once he is safe, Lotso abandons them. As Woody and his friends accept their impending fate, Andy's aliens rescue them with an industrial claw. A trash truck driver later finds Lotso and straps him to his truck's radiator grill. Woody and his friends ride another garbage truck, allegedly driven by adult Sid Phillips, based on the chart, back to Andy's house. Andy discovers a note from Woody, assuming it is from his mother, and donates the toys to Bonnie, who lives nearby. Andy introduces the toys individually to Bonnie and is surprised to find Woody at the bottom of the donation box. After Bonnie recognizes Woody and initially hesitant Andy passes him over to her, Andy plays with Bonnie before leaving. Woody bids him a quiet farewell and the toys begin their new life with Bonnie. Now this is where real men cried. Or 4-year-old boys in my case. I mean, I was sobbing when I saw this shit. I'll talk more about my experience in my review section, I guess. Later, Woody and the other toys learn that Barbie, Ken, and Big Baby have improved their lives of the toys at Sunnyside. Like its predecessor, the film received acclaim from critics with praise for the vocal performances, the screenplay, the emotional depth, the animation, Newman's musical score yet again, and this one grossed $1.067 billion worldwide, finishing its theatrical run as the highest grossing film of 2010 and the fourth highest grossing film of all time at the time of its release. It was also the first animated film to reach $1 billion at the box office and was the highest grossing animated film until the release of Frozen in 2013 and Pixar's highest grossing film until the release of The Incredibles 2 in 2018. The National Board of Review, the American Film Institute, and Chaires de Cinéma named Toy Story 3 as one of their top films in 2010. Amongst its numerous accolades, Toy Story 3 was nominated for 5 awards at the 83rd Academy Awards, winning Best Animated Feature, Best Original Song. It was the third animated film to be nominated for Best Picture, and a sequel, Toy Story 4, was released in 2019. But we're not getting there just yet. So what did I think? This is my favourite of the franchise. It's got the best story, the most emotional stakes, and I know I'm biased because it's the one I grew up with the most, but I have extremely fond memories of this movie. I watched this one in cinemas and had to leave early because I cried when Buzz got reset. I only managed to watch it all on a dodgy cinema DVD rip, after, and I knew it was coming. Remember those, though? And then I cried when I got to the ending. It's so peak. It's great.
Right, so welcome to our first interlude, where I wouldn't feel right if I didn't break this up a bit and talk about the Toy Story 3 video game. Arguably the best licensed game of all time. And, just give it my flowers. The game is basically a retelling of the film, as most licensed games are, from the perspective of Ham telling Bonnie's toys what happened in 3. The game board is a board game, a cute little thing. There are a few, unique levels in the game, being, the one in Bonnie's house where she's playing with Woody, or the one at the end where it's another, imaginary sequence where it's like a shooter with Buzz and Dolly, and it's really cool. But the big part of the game is the toy box. That's the one that so many people, myself, sunk so many hours into. And I mean, there's a reason this game is so popular. It released on so much. I'm talking PS3, PS2, PSP, Xbox 360, DS. Jesus, it was ridiculous. I mean, 3 of which I own here, and Wii. I forgot to mention that. Ridiculous. And the game is so popular that in current year, while I was writing this script, they announced a remaster of this game, which is the trailer you're seeing in the background, actually. And yeah, it's great. Amazing stuff. And, I don't know what else to say. Alongside that, they're also doing the Retro Roundup, which I will also be copying day one, which is kind of, some remakes of old games in the Toy Story series, ports even, which I'm excited for. But yeah, I just wanted to slip that in there. I thought this would fit really well.
Now let's move on to our second interlude, because we have to talk about the short films. In between Toy Story 3 and 4, we had 5 pretty big shorts, which I'll now quickly recap. First came the 2011 short, Hawaiian Vacation. In this one, Barbie and Ken sneak into Bonnie's backpack, hoping to tag along on her family's winter trip to Hawaii. When they get left behind, Woody and the gang build a makeshift tropical paradise in Bonnie's bedroom. 4 out of 5. Next, we have Small Fry, also releasing in 2011. In this one, Buzz Lightyear is accidentally left behind at a fast food restaurant. While he gets stuck at an unpleasant support group for discarded kids' meal toys, a hyperactive mini promotional Buzz takes his place at Bonnie's house. 5 out of 5. Finally, they released Partysaurus Rex in 2012. In this one, Rex is always considered a party pooper. When Bonnie takes a bubble bath, he proves he can be the life of the party by befriending the bath toys and transforming the tub into an epic rave. 3 out of 5. Definitely the weakest of the bunch, but not terrible by any means. Right, then they released Toy Story of Terror in 2013, an obvious Halloween short. This one, like the next one, is much longer, more like 20 minutes instead of the 5-minute ones we had beforehand. On a road trip with Bonnie and her mother, Woody, Buzz, Jessie, Rex, Mr. Pricklepants, Mr. Potato Head, and Trixie are stranded overnight at the Sleepwell Motel after a flat tire. When Mr. Potato Head disappears, the toys investigate, while Mr. Pricklepants narrates the events like a horror movie. One by one, the toys are captured by an iguana named Mr. Jones, leaving Jessie to uncover the motel manager Ron has trained the iguana to steal toys so he can sell them online. Jessie is eventually captured and discovers her friends, along with a lost toy named Combat Coral, imprisoned in Ron's office. When Woody is sold and shipped out, Jessie overcomes her fear of being boxed up, rescues him, and returns to expose Ron, with help from Mr. Potato Head. Bonnie and her mum discover the stolen toys and threaten to call the police. Bonnie recovers her toys and continues the trip, while the other rescued toys set out to find their owners, and Ron is arrested. Not bad, 4 out of 5. Now our final short, Toy Story That Time Forgot, releasing in 2014. During a post-Christmas playdate at Mason's house, Bonnie ignores her toys in favour of a new video game console. Trixie, frustrated that Bonnie never treats her like a real dinosaur, discovers Mason's unopened Battlesaurs playset and befriends its leader, Reptilius Maximus. However, the Battlesaurs don't realise they're toys, and under the manipulative rule of the cleric, force other toys into dangerous gladiator-like battles. When Woody, Buzz, and the others are threatened, Trixie tries to convince Reptilius of the truth after showing him his package and explaining the joy of being played with. She persuades him to help turn off Mason's video game. Mason and Bonnie then begin playing with the Battlesaurs, freeing the toys from the cleric's control. Back home, Trixie finally accepts her role as Bonnie's dinosaur, happy to be whatever Bonnie imagines her to be. Better than Toy Story of Terror, but not by much. 4.5 out of 5. So Toy Story 4 is the 2019 installment of Pixar's Toy Story film series. It was directed by Josh Cooley. Originally, Lasseter was to return, but he decided to get a bit touchy with the female staff at Pixar, so that didn't happen. In the movie, Rickles, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberger, Blake Clark, Jeff Pigeon, Laurie Metcalf, John Morris, Joan Cusack, and Estelle Harris are among actors who reprise their roles from the first 3 films, but some of these are reprised via old cut lines, as the actors had already passed by 2019. They are joined by Tony Hale, Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele, Christina Hendricks, Keanu Reeves, and Ali Mackey, who all voice new characters. Despite 3 being a perfect ending, they were actually trying to make 4 since 2011. Toy Story 4 premiered in Hollywood, Los Angeles on June 11th, 2019, and was released in the United States on June 21st. Now let's talk plot. 9 years before Toy Story 3, Woody and Bo Peep rescue Andy's remote-controlled car, RC, from being washed away in a storm, before Bo and her lamp are donated to a new owner. Woody attempts to rescue her, but she insists it's okay and it's time for a new kid. She asks Woody to come with her, but when he hears Andy calling out for him, he chooses to stay. First issue with this movie. Woody would never even consider leaving, so immediately they kind of change his character, not in a good way. In the present day, after a college-bound Andy has donated his toys to Bonnie, Woody struggles to adapt as she shows little interest in playing with him, and her toys already have a leader. I know a lot of people had issue with Bonnie ditching Woody after being obsessed with him in 3, and I did too, but on reflection, that's just how kids work, man. She's like 5. Bonnie is quite nervous about starting kindergarten, so Woody sneaks in her backpack as moral support. When she creates a toy from a spook at her kindergarten orientation, it comes to life as the character Forky, who immediately suffers an existential crisis, seeing himself as trash and not a toy. As Forky quickly becomes Bonnie's favourite toy, Woody tries to stop Forky from throwing himself away. When Bonnie's family go on a road trip, Forky jumps out the window of the RV and Woody goes after him. As they walk to the park, Woody convinces Forky that his place is with Bonnie, and Forky overcomes his existential crisis. As they pass an antique store, he recognizes Bo Peep's lamp in the window and detours inside to find her. How is he supposed to know that that's his Bo Peep? Think about it. They encounter a talking doll named Gabby Gabby and her ventriloquist dummy friends, who try to take Woody's voice box to replace Gabby's broken one. Woody escapes, though Forky becomes Gabby's prisoner. At a playground nearby, Woody reunites with Bo and her sheep, who have become lost toys, free from owners and able to do as they please, along with their new friend, Giggle McDimples. They agree to help Woody rescue Forky. Buzz Lightyear, trying to find Woody, gets lost in a traveling carnival and encounters prize toys, Bunny and Ducky. Unlike previously added characters, these new ones just don't hit. They find Woody and Bo, who take them to the stuntback toy Duke Kaboom, an obvious parody of Evel Knievel, and they attempt to rescue Forky, only to nearly get killed by the store owner's cat. The toys refuse to go back due to the danger, but Woody, who does not believe in leaving toys behind, inadvertently insults Bo's lost toy nature, leaving her and Buzz to rescue Forky. When he confronts Gabby, she explains that she means no harm, only wanting his voice box so she can be played with by the store's owner's granddaughter, Harmony. Woody voluntarily sacrifices his voice box to Gabby in exchange for the safe return of Forky, only for Harmony to reject Gabby afterwards. Woody sends Forky to the RV and convinces Gabby to return to Bonnie with him. Bo, Kaboom, and the rest of the gang return and help the pair rescue, and Bo and Woody reconcile. Jessie rallies Bonnie's toys to use the RV to drive back to the fair, so the toys are just doing all this bullshit now, like, in fucking public. Don't think about it. On the way, Gabby notices a lost child at the carnival and leaves the group to comfort her until the parents arrive. The girl takes Gabby with her. Woody is hesitant to leave Bo again. Buzz assures him that Bonnie will be okay without him. Woody shares an emotional goodbye with his friends and joins Bo as a lost toy. Sometime later, the lost toys travel with the carnival and help prize toys find owners, while Bonnie creates a companion for Forky from a plastic knife. What happened after? Well, Toy Story 4 grossed $1.074 billion worldwide, becoming the 8th highest grossing film of 2019, and is the highest grossing film in the franchise, marginally surpassing Toy Story 3. Like its predecessor, the film received acclaim from critics with praise for its story, humor, emotional depth, musical score, animation, and vocal performances. The film was nominated for 2 awards at the 92nd Academy Awards, winning Best Animated Feature and received numerous other accolades, although I don't think audiences agreed to much with critics. Many, myself included, felt this was cheap and rushed for money, but outcries didn't seem to do much as we have Toy Story 5 in 2 weeks at the time of me voicing this, and it's going to make a bunch of money, and I guess we'll see new Toy Stories every 8 years or so, for all eternity now, basically. Also, there was a bunch of shorts, but they're pretty inconsequential, so I won't be covering them like I did the Toy Story 3 shorts. It's just a bunch of, Forky asking, what is blank object? It's just not worth going over. Yeah, I can acknowledge this is a genuinely well-made movie, but it didn't need to exist in my opinion. That's all I have. I really don't care to talk about this one. Mama mid.
Right, so now that we've finished the first 4 films, I want to address a glaring issue I have with Buzz Lightyear's character. And this originally was going to be its own video essay, but I mean, as this video went on, it kind of just became like the ultimate Toy Story retrospective that I personally could put together. So I think this works as an interlude, I guess. Let's talk about how they don't know what to do with Buzz Lightyear. Because let's really think about it. In the first one, he thinks he's a space ranger. Okay, fine. That's the whole premise of the film. In the second one, he meets another Buzz Lightyear who thinks he's a space ranger. I'm noticing a pattern already. In the third one, he gets reset, so he thinks he's a space ranger. Are we seeing the pattern? And in the fourth one, he becomes so stupid that he begins to press his buttons and do things that a space ranger would do because that's what his voice box is telling him. Basically, they just seem to revert back to, fuck, what do we do with Buzz Lightyear? Make him a space ranger. And it's really disheartening because this is a very cool character and he just gets nothing to play with in the first 4 films. Whether this trend will continue in the 5th one is yet to be seen, but I will be letting you know later in this video, I guess, when we get to that portion. But yeah, just an observation I've noticed. I'm sure someone else has noticed it too, but What do you guys think on this? That's the interlude over, I guess.
Right, so back to Buzz Lightyear. I've grouped these two films together because they're so similar. In 2000, they released Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Begins, which was a spin-off movie of the at the time Buzz Lightyear of Star Command cartoon, which Disney now insists on pretending never happened. In 2022, they released Lightyear, a Buzz Lightyear spin-off meant to be the movie Andy saw that inspired him to want a Buzz. But wait, wasn't that the premise of The Adventure Begins? Yeah. Lightyear is a carbon copy of The Adventure Begins with absolutely none of the fun of that version. To summarize, in both movies, Buzz makes a mistake with a rookie that makes him cautious of teams. Eventually, he is forced to team with a ragtag group of people, including the woman, related to someone from his past, the oaf for comedic effect, and the robot designed for Buzz. In The Adventure Begins, these archetypes are fulfilled by Mira Nova, Booster Munchapper, and XR. In Lightyear, I don't even know their names because they leave no lasting impression. XR has a way better design than that cat robot they have, and I mean all of these characters are far superior than the Lightyear counterparts. Anyway, there's also a twist with Zurg in both versions of these films. Buzz is promoted and given the option for a new team, but keeps the one that he's grown attached to in both films. Yeah, as you can see, they're both pretty similar. If you're actually going to watch one of these, go for The Adventure Begins because it's an actually good movie. And I'm sorry that this section has been a bit jumbled. I would have put The Adventure Begins earlier in the video, but I thought it worked better here to, get my point across that Lightyear is basically exactly the same movie. It also happens to be the newest one in our timeline. But yeah, that's me finally done with this video for now. I'll come back to it when Toy Story 5 is out, and I can give my thoughts on it. So, I can finally finish this video because I just saw Toy Story 5. Obviously, once again, spoilers. This one follows the toys, mainly Jessie, as she deals with the feeling of being forgotten again by Bonnie now that she has LilyPad, a satire of the iPad. Through the film, she meets more smart toys who ultimately teach her and Lily to be friends and help Bonnie get a friend herself. The ultimate lesson being that tech and toys can coexist, which I actually kind of agree with. You see a lot of people going one way or the other, but the ultimate fact is, in the modern world, unfortunately, tech is important. But sticking your kids in front of a tablet all day, every day, isn't healthy. We need both in balance. While all this is happening, there's an army of upgraded Buzz Lightyears trying to get to Star Command, only to realize that being a toy is the ultimate goal. As I pointed out earlier, the trend continues. They don't know what to do with Buzz's character, so they just introduce more Buzzes that think they are Space Rangers, a la Toy Story 2. Once again, the film is gorgeous, but that is to be expected by Pixar at this point. But that doesn't really matter if the characters feel enshittified and dumbed down for babies, And I get this is a kid's franchise, but in earlier entries, there felt like there was a layer of complexity to these characters. But here, they just feel very two-dimensional. And when they're not reverting characters to 2D ideas, they're dangling Toy Story 2 nostalgia bait in front of us with that whole Emily connection, which is very prevalent throughout the whole film. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't really work. Giving Emily a face kind of removes that everyman idea of that story that we are all Emily at one point in our lives when we grow up and grow out of the things that are important to us as a child. It's just a few strange choices here in a film that, while we can all agree is unnecessary, as was 4, isn't too terrible. It obviously doesn't touch the heights of 1 to 3, but it's about on par with 4, and I think we way overjudged that one, as I said earlier. Ultimately, it's a 3 out of 5. See it in cinemas or catch it on Disney Plus in a month. You can't go wrong either way, in my opinion. And with that, I'm finally done with this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know all your thoughts on all the Toy Story films down below. I'll see you later. Goodbye.